As we seemingly watch the world and more specifically our country crumble before our very eyes, and more specifically the theatrics and the silliness of two specific senators, one being Mr. Joe Manchin, the other being Miss Kyrsten Sinema, try their damnedest in seemingly comic book villain style to derail legislation that would mean quite a bit for millions of Americans, quite a bit being a little bit of an understatement considering the anguish and the pain that American people have been subjected to for such a very long time. I thought I would shed a little bit of light onto who exactly these two figures were and the types of things that they practice that honestly lead them to do the things that they do. And it's not a difficult answer, okay? Now, I'll start with Mr. Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin, there's been some damning videos that have surfaced online of him as of late. I'm referring to the videos, one in particular, him standing on his yacht that he owns that's called Almost Heaven, as reporters from down below ask him why he's opposed to Medicare negotiating for lower drug prices for Americans, which they do so voluntarily. We're the only industrialized country that doesn't argue for lower drug prices or negotiate for lower drug prices for our citizenry. So we pay the most for drugs. That's why a lot of Americans go to Canada to get their insulin. And he stands there upon his boat, upon his yacht, pondering, it's not going to be enough for some. It's going to be too much for others. Just thinking about, I don't know, do the American people deserve these things? Actual things that have come out of his mouth. I mean, few things can compare to such a high level of elitism. I mean, it's absolutely vile and disgusting, And you see other videos of him saying, I cannot accept our society moving towards one of entitlement. It's funny because it's as if other nations, other countries don't exist. I just wonder, like, what does he think about a place like Germany that has universal health care, free college, is that a country of entitlement to you? I guarantee you those Germans really like their healthcare system. I guarantee you a majority of those Germans really like the fact that they can achieve a higher education and not go into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases in student loan debt like we see so often in this country. I think they like the fact that they have guaranteed 5 weeks paid time off by law, guaranteed to them. Many of those same things can be said about France and, the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Denmark, many other places. One has to wonder why, are they not aware of other people's situations? It really does make you wonder. But he says that he's not in favor of our society becoming one of entitlement. I thought I'd just shed a little bit of light on what he's done in the past that kind of contradicts that statement. So first of all, when the Wall Street bankers and CEOs crashed the economy, he fought extremely hard for them to receive a bailout. The bailout that they did in fact receive, tens of trillions of dollars that they took and then paid themselves bonuses. Yeah. And a few years after they received the bailout that he fought extremely hard for them to receive, his wife was named to the board of a mortgage bank. Wow. And shortly after that, it was revealed that Goldman Sachs had become one of his biggest campaign donors. Need I remind you, if you aren't aware or may have forgotten, Goldman Sachs was one of the main perpetrators of crashing the economy. Yeah, they were. He also demanded preservation of special tax subsidies for fossil fuel industries, also one of his biggest campaign contributors. He bailed out the power plant that buys waste coal from his family coal brokerage. InterSystems is the name of the company. This company, InterSystems, he also put under control by his son. So he gifted that was a great gift to his son from Joe Manchin. Need I remind you that his daughter is currently going through a situation. The EpiPen scandal, she's also involved in corruption. The entire family is plagued with corruption. I mean, that's what we're witnessing here. And then as we pivot to Kyrsten Sinema, oh, and by the way, this company, InterSystems, I don't want to gloss over this. Him and his wife hold, they have millions of dollars of holdings in that company, and those holdings generate millions of dollars in income for the both of them. And then you wonder why he comes out against climate change legislation. But allow me to proceed. Kyrsten Sinema has received over $700,000 from Big Pharma, the health insurance industries, over $6 million in donations from the finance, insurance, and real estate industries. Goldman Sachs is also one of her largest campaign donors. It was actually revealed relatively recently, and I mean, it's absolutely disgusting, by the way, but Kyrsten Sinema left DC amid negotiations for this infrastructure package. Her spokesman said it was for a doctor's appointment for a foot injury. But a hotel confirmed that she will be at her PAX retreat with donors for cocktails and dinner at a high-end resort spa in Phoenix. Need I remind you that just after she did the little cute dance and the thumbs down on the $15 minimum wage, denying millions of workers in this country something close to a living wage, she went to go speak and give speeches for the NRA, not the National Rifle Association, but the National Restaurant Association, who, guess what, opposes the $15 minimum wage. Why? Because they say they wouldn't be able to afford it. It would put them out of business. Needless to say, those are lies and propaganda. The outright display of corruption, it's something that I've never seen. And what's happening now as a result of this, I mean, it's unabashed at this point. Sinema and Manchin, what they're doing, the American people are becoming a little bit more hip, you know, and they're getting in the know, and it's stirring up these emotions, and people are getting really angry. Both in West Virginia and Arizona, you have people currently plotting on the demise of these two senators. They've created PACs in Arizona they're getting ready to primary Kyrsten Sinema in 2024, and I'll touch on that in just a second. And the same thing with Joe Manchin. They're trying to oust him as well. But the problem that comes with that is when you have individuals that are so corrupt and so bought and owned, quite literally, you have to wonder, do they even want to govern? You know, if you were to force them out, would they care? Would Kyrsten Sinema even seek re-election? Because she's taking all this money, she's doing the bidding of all these entities and industries and companies and CEOs and what have you. At the end of her term, she just might say, oh, okay, well, peace out, Washington, and go work on a firm somewhere, or go sit on a board of directors for a mortgage company like Joe Manchin's wife does. You know? I mean, or she may go work as a lobbyist for the health insurance industries and continue to deny the American people more drug prices. It's a never-ending cycle of corruption, okay, and deceitfulness. That's all it is. And this is a symptom of American politics. And it's something that I don't think that people should be surprised about. Now, if they are surprised, they haven't been paying any attention, because these two senators aren't the only people that engage in these sorts of practices. It's many of them. Now, the funny thing about it is some of these senators that are just as dirty, just as vile and repulsive, and not just senators, politicians in general, as Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, they may be supporting this $3.5 trillion legislation right now. You want to know why? Because they're a bit smarter, and they might actually want to hold their seat a little bit longer, and they don't want to just show the American people their full hand just yet. But Joe Manchin, and especially Kyrsten Sinema, with these recent theatrics, simply don't give a fuck. Okay? And they're doing everything in their power to derail, to evade, to cause these infrastructure negotiations to go up in flames, because they would want to see nothing more. And I truly believe this in my heart of hearts. to see the American people continue to suffer even worse than they are now. I mean, simple provisions like universal pre-K, free community college, more money going into housing, more money going into green energy, climate legislation, just simple things that other countries have gone far beyond. They don't support. But as I've said before, this is a simple symptom of the American political system. And I don't think that this should surprise us one bit. But what I hope this does, and I genuinely hope this does, I hope this motivates, I hope this encourages, I hope this inspires people to take action, okay? Whether it be at the local, state, or federal level, whether it be you running, whether it be you supporting a friend or a colleague that decides to run, whether it be you donating to a person that actually has an ideology and an agenda, and it can somehow conjure up and create a movement that can be positive for this country, whatever it may be, and we're seeing it right now. We're seeing people, take action and do things that in the future will most likely prove to pay off dividends. But the future is a long time away, and we're living in a moment in time where it seems like nothing ever goes right. And, the leaders of this country don't want to see things go right. And in many cases, that's true. But I think it's upon us as the people, as the population, as the citizenry, to use the power that we have, which is the power of numbers. Okay, we are the massive people. And get these politicians in line, man. We have the power to do it. We can do so. It's just about, who's pissed off enough to actually engage in something like a general strike or any other civil disobedience, peaceful civil disobedience that can truly grab the attention of these corrupt politicians and make them do our bidding the way that they're actually supposed to.